So you know you want to make YouTube videos, but it frustrates you the million and one things that you have to manage in order to stay on top of a weekly production schedule or some kind of regular video production schedule. I know the feeling. And so what we're going to be going into right now is my emerging video creation pipeline organization system, including how I keep track of my video files, how I've begun to streamline my video production pipeline, as well as some ideas that I have for further systematizing my overall process in the near future. Vámonos. Bienvenidos de nuevo, mis estudiantes. My name is Mr. Crofts. I am the most organized self-education student on the internet. I have taught myself another language. I've made money day trading. I own rental property, and I now host this growing YouTube channel. I use the internet to learn. I learn for a living. And I am here to teach you how to systematize your planning and other processes so you may do the same. So here we are in my OneDrive. This is where I store all of my files. This is my top level folder structure. I've made a video on this before, but I didn't specify my YouTube process. Here's how this breaks down. These last four you can just ignore. I can probably delete those, but I feel like maybe I've tried before and Microsoft won't let me. These are really the only ones that matter. And with respect to YouTube, this one and maybe this one a little bit are the only ones that matter. Workbenches is where all the magic happens. When I come into my workbenches folder, what I'm asking for is what are those projects that are open, so to speak, in my life right now. So this one, as an example, is a folder that contains the pictures that I have for various things around the house that I'm trying to sell. This one is my mortgage details as well as plans for building an ADU. I've also talked about this briefly in other videos. An accessory dwelling unit in my backyard. That's another real estate investment, which is kind of a sub-project of the Bourne house that I'm buying. And so that's in here as well. And then I've got YouTube, of course, which is the topic of interest of this video. Let's go in here and check out what it looks like. The first thing you'll see is it's very simple. I only have two folders right now. I have the one folder, which is evergreen, is exactly what it sounds like. This is where I can put things that I expect I will or I might use them again in the future for various things. So I have different selfies of myself. We have different selfies of myself in order to have for thumbnails in particular. I've got an image of my own signature that I use for my bumper, the channel bumper. Pretty Girl Surprised. That's like a photo that I've used for a thumbnail in the past, and I might come back to it around later. Audio assets. I don't really use this anymore now, but that's where you could fit songs that you save from. I forget the name of the service now, but anyway, there's paid services out there where you can download songs as long as you have a paid subscription, and then use those in your YouTube videos. Image assets, similar. Social media assets, same thing. So anything that is related to YouTube that you might use more than once, and especially if you're planning to use it, or if you could use it again and again and again, that's my only other folder. Everything else is all video specific. So this one you see here, this is the video that I'm working on right now, video number 43. Because I'm doing weekly YouTube videos, I didn't want to get fancy or cute with how I named each of my folders. I don't need to give it, I'm planning to title each video strategically, right? But the folder structure, I mean, I can put the title in here later once I've decided on it, which I guess I have now. But at base, if I just stick with a simple numbering system, that keeps me from overthinking it. It removes the friction of this step of the process. I just literally put 00044 for the next video and I'm ready to go. I don't have to worry about it. So, and then once we get inside, we see the only file in here right now is the thumbnail that I've planned for the video. I'm trying to get a little more proactive with planning the packaging of each video. The thumbnail is something as a part of the package. It's the title and the thumbnail together that really make the packaging of each YouTube video on YouTube. And for that reason, a lot of people, like it's treated a lot as an afterthought. People dive into making the video first and then they treat the title and the thumbnail as an afterthought. But it's wise, if you want to succeed on YouTube, to do the opposite, to begin with what is the viewer going to see before they've clicked into your video. In order to win the click, that's an important part of the puzzle. And then of course you have to make a quality video for them to be satisfied with as well, but that's separate. And then once I finish a video, you see that there are no other videos listed here in this section. 42 and previous are all now in my archives section. So we go back out to my top level structure folder system and we see archives. In archives, I have everything everywhere. It's everything about anywhere in my life, not just YouTube, but personal and professional, in here by date. I organize it with a naming structure. I give the year of the file first, or the year of the folder first, and then the month, and then if it's relevant I'll put a date, but that's not usually as necessary. And that enables so that if I just make it alphabetical order according to name, OneDrive will automatically put them in chronological order of when they happened. And that I just feel is a very natural, organized way to keep your archives handy, and you can quickly navigate them using that. So if you come down here, you see this project YouTube 2025. It's the same name of that project that we have in Workbenches. The difference here is it's in my archives section. So I click in here and I see some previous videos. We can come in to any of these video folders now and see that I have the raw footage of each piece that I recorded. This is the final video. This is the video editing file. I think it's what is it called? PDS. That's Power Director. That's the video editing service that I use. This Excel file was an Excel file that I used and featured inside the video. And so again, I had a place to put it. I knew exactly where it belonged in order to put it in the first place. And then later, while I was still making the video, over the course of, say a couple of days, handful of days, I could continue to come back to the same place where I could find everything relevant. I could open up my video editing file, which would open it in my files editing software automatically, use my Excel file that I was using for that video, and then fetch any files that I had already recorded but hadn't gotten yet into my edited version of the video, all in one place. Sick. The next piece of the puzzle is my video production pipeline, which you're seeing right now. This is Notion, which I've also discussed in other videos. And this is the Notion page that I have set up for this particular video that I'm recording right now. You guys can see the title, the one that you're seeing, or the one that you saw before clicking on this video, may be the exact same. It might have been tweaked a little bit, but it's nice to have it ready. Like I have the plan for what roughly I'm going to title the video. I have my thumbnail already designed, and so I can plan that ahead of time. I have a couple of key questions, just very simple, trying to keep it very simple starting out, not making it overwhelming for yourself. Who is it for, and what is the purpose? I feel like that's the start of any good video or any good piece of creation, is who are you making it for, and what is the message, or what is the purpose of the video. I have some structure as far as how I outline each video. I don't follow this religiously. especially right now in this season of my life. I'm still closing out the closing weeks now, not even months, of my day job as a teacher. I'm planning to walk away from education in order to go all in on this kind of thing. And being so busy, it's necessary that I embrace the messiness. I understand and I accept, more so than I have in the past, that none of this is going to be perfect right away. It's going to be messy, but the beauty is you can continue to refine, not before you start taking action, but while you continue to take action. Let it be messy, and these things will get clean. They will become cleaner and cleaner and cleaner as you give them attention, but you have to do it while you're knocking on doors, so to speak, not before. So that was how I outline a particular video. Now let's see kind of how I'm managing the overall production pipeline. I have multiple videos in different stages of the creation process. Over here on the right are all of my completed videos, and then on the far left are in the earliest stages of the creation process, which is ideation, just simply having an idea. I love having this kind of thing in Notion. This is called a Kanban board. I'm sure you're already familiar. It's very helpful to keep track of all of the ideas that you have while they happen. If I have it in Notion as compared to on pencil and paper, it's very easy. If I'm, say, brushing my teeth in the evening and I have an idea, I can quickly pause either the YouTube video that I'm watching, because that's what I generally do while I'm brushing my teeth, or lately I've been getting into immersive reading, which is where you read and listen at the same time. I do that with Spanish to help me keep up my fluency. Regardless of what I'm doing, I can pause that and then go over to Notion real quick, and I have a quick button, which maybe I can discuss that in other videos, a quick button that enables me to add to my video ideas database, which is this one right here that you're seeing, an idea, just a very quick idea of an idea for a video. And being that it's in the very rough, earliest stage of the creation process, I don't worry about optimizing it at that point. I'm just like, it might be kind of an idea for a title, or it might just be an idea totally not related to what the title actually ends up becoming. And that freedom, that flexibility really takes the pressure off. The next stage of the process, I kind of worked through, and I've watched some videos from like Ali Abdaal and from Thomas Frank. There's a lot of different ways that you can slice and dice this whole process of like what stages every video goes through. For example, with Thomas Frank, he has a whole separate stage of the process for A-roll and B-roll. Those are two different types of video category, where A-roll is shooting the actual content of the video versus B-roll is shooting something like the background or having some kind of stock footage of something related to the content, but it's just to give the viewer a different angle or like a switch up of scenery to keep things interesting. That's a whole separate stage in his process, whereas when I took and made my own, just beginning, very early on in my journey, right, I wanted to make this as simple as possible. So I thought, how do I make this simple, but also address and sequence in a logical, helpful way the stages of a video? Because I've made videos in the past, I know what they take. And here's what I came up with. The very first stage of the process is to package the video. You want to decide, what is the viewer gonna see before they even begin to see the video? Because the packaging, that is the title and the thumbnail, is what's going to determine whether they even click on you or not. And that is a huge part of discoverability, and it's a huge part of building trust and brand awareness and all these things. If you don't win the click, then you don't win anything. So packaging is the first stage of the process. So when I have an idea that I'd like to begin packaging, I move it to this section of my Kanban board, of my production pipeline. The next step after that, the one that I'm in right now, Actually, this is no longer the case. I was outlining this before beginning recording. Now I can put this over here. Outlining the video is what we saw a little earlier with the outline of the hook and the introduction and the bumper of the video. Again, it's messy. It's not all filled out, but that's okay. I don't care. It is what it is. We're cleaning things up as we go, right? Now it's in the producing stage of the process. That's where I both record and edit the video. I used to separate recording and editing, but I found myself going back and forth between the two. I would record a piece of the video, like the intro, for example, and then I'd bring it over to the video editing software and I'd begin editing, and then I'd realize, hey, you know, I'd like to change that little part of it, or I'd like to add this here between these two sections. And so I'd go back to recording and record some more and then put that back in the video editing software and go back and forth like that for a little while before I finally finished the video, at which time you're now ready to optimize, is what I've called it. It's the best that I could come up with, which is the marriage of the two words uploading and optimizing. Because after you upload, you optimize the video by making sure my title is as planned, my description is filled out, my thumbnail is uploaded, my custom thumbnail, and then all of the things that I promised inside the video, like if I referenced a particular video that I used to learn the content of the video, or if I mentioned some other video that I've made in the past, I want to make sure that all of those elements are included. So that's all part of this process. And then finally, once you have completed that stage of the process and you're waiting for publishing, or it's been published, you can move it over to the final stage, which is uploaded and optimized. Cool. So now to close out the video, as promised, the last thing I'd like to note on is some thoughts that I have for how I'd like to continue refining my overall YouTube process moving forward. The first thing is the production pipeline that you just saw. I'd like to optimize that further. If I can simplify it, that'd be great. But more so, I think it's about filling in the pieces that are already there. So for example, having a template for what my description will look like every video, refining my intro bumper message and making that shorter and shorter and sweeter, as well as having a better way to close out each video, because right now I've just kind of been ignoring that part of the process. The second thing is batching. If you're not familiar already with batching, batching is the reason that we do laundry like once a week instead of every single time we get a new article of dirty clothing. It doesn't make sense to go and do the thing every single time. You let the work pile up for a little while and then you do it all at once if it's possible. Well, the same thing, just like with laundry, the same thing can be applied to videos. Batching with respect to particular thumbnails and packaging, I think it would be it would relieve so much of the burden of how much work that it takes to put together a good video if I were to sit down for a day and just commit an entire workday to preparing the packages for like 5 to 10 videos, all of their titles and their thumbnails already planned, and that way all I have to do from there is just the outlining and the recording and the editing and all that. That would be an amazing improvement of the overall process that I have. And then finally, there's what I kind of touched on already with the streamlining the production pipeline, but that's outlining and refining how I outline each video. There's a lot of different ways that you can put together a video. Some people stress storytelling with, you know, there's rising action and there's some kind of a climax and then a payoff, and then there's resolution. That's one way to go about it, but regardless, it's just about having a clear structure for a strategic beginning, a strategic body, and a strategic close to each video. So refining that process, especially closing each video, I'm looking forward to giving some thought toward that.